contact-based data model are the custom data model. That means there is no pre-enforced attributes, no such concept of profile management. Because you cannot, make behaviors default. Behaviors changes industry to industry. In e-commerce industry, the subscribers' behaviors would be different than the behaviors they show on a pharmaceutical website. There, the behaviors would be more concerned about a subscriber's health, day-to-day activities, how much they eat, how much they walk, how much exercise they do, how much yoga they do. For medical or pharmaceutical industries, these are the subscribers' behaviors they want to capture, and then they have to do the automation. But in e-commerce industry, this would not be a behavior. The behavior would be what the customer has put into a cart, what he has purchased, what he has returned, what he is searching to show him similar product recommendation, size, color of the product he's searching. The behaviors would be different. For any other industry, the behaviors would all be different. So you cannot have a fixed profile template kind of thing for behaviors. That is why contact-based data models are custom data model in Marketing Cloud. Contact-based data model uses data extension, very important thing. The entire Marketing Cloud journey which you are going to do from today would be based on data extensions in contact-based data model. Data extensions are nothing but the custom tables in Marketing Cloud. List was not a custom table. List is a kind of table only, but it was not a custom table. It is a standard table which have predefined profile attributes. But there is no such case with the data extensions. Data extensions are the custom tables in Marketing Cloud, or you can say custom object in Marketing Cloud. When you say data extensions are custom, you have a leverage to create different data extensions with different properties and attribute sets. One data extension you can create to store some kind of information about a subscriber, but the other data extension you can create to store some transaction history of a subscriber. The other data extension you create to store wish list of a subscriber. The other data extension you create to understand any other property of a subscriber. So these data extensions can be created custom based on your business requirements. And when you have that freedom to create custom data extensions the way you want, you can establish relationships between data extensions. In one data extension, if you are keeping subscriber profile records, the other data extension, you can create subscriber behavioral records like transaction. So both the data extensions are related to each other, because in one data extension, you have a subscriber profile, and in the other data extension, you have same subscribers transaction history stored. So both data extensions are related to each other because it contains data of same set of subscribers. So these can be related. You can have one-to-one relationship, one-to-many relationship with data extensions. So what are the properties of data extensions? It will be asked in interview. Data extensions are the custom objects in Marketing Cloud. They do not follow any predefined profile template. You can create whatever attribute you want. Data extensions are relational in nature. You can create as many data extensions as you want. There is no limit of 5 lakh subscribers only in a data extension. You can create unlimited data into a data extension. The other properties of data extension, you can create custom attributes. You have around 8 data types. The data types will help you store both profile and behaviors. In list, we only had text, numeric, and date. But in data extension, we have Boolean, email address, phone, decimal, locale field. So you have a combination of attribute data types which you can leverage to create a custom or a complex data model for your client. How to do that, we are going to see practically. So lists are non-relational, data extensions are relational. List only available for Email Studio, but data extension is a part of contact-based data model, which is available in each and every studios and builders in Marketing Cloud. It is a part of centralized data model. List only have 5 lakh subscribers. There is no such limit with data extension. List follows profile template. There is no such thing with data extension. They are custom objects. So you will be asked, what is the difference between list and data extension? Hope it is clear. Now, how to create data extension into Marketing Cloud? Data extension can be created again from the same place, that is subscribers drop down, which is 50% of your Marketing Cloud. So to create a data extension, we have to go to Email Studio again. We have already seen the subscribers drop down where we have created list and we have accessed profile management attributes. This subscribers drop down, we have seen lists. We have also seen profile management. We are studying about data extensions, which can also be created using Email Studio subscriber drop down. We have to click on data extensions. To create a new data extension, you have to first create a folder. It is not necessary, but advised. So you go to data extension, wherever you see left hand side, you see this data extensions highlighted. To create a new folder, right click on the data extensions and you will get this dialog box where you have to select new folder, and a new folder will be enabled for you to rename. You will get that new folder at the last. We have created batch 36 data extension and hit on enter button. Once we have entered, the folder is enabled for us, and here you have a create button. In order to create a data extension, obviously you have to click create button and you have to select standard data extensions. Everything would be discussed, what is filtered and random would also be discussed. But to create a new data extension from scratch, you have to work with standard data extensions. Once you create standard data extension, you have to click on OK and provide the name of the data extension. Once you provide the name of the data extension, you have to click on next. Keep these settings as it is. Click on next. And here you have to define the attribute like first name. Along with that, you have all the available data types which you can select. Means first name is a text, you can select text. The second attribute you want to create is a date. Then you have to select an attribute called date, data type called date. The other thing, the other value you want to create is bill. Suppose bill to store some, transaction value. Bill would always be a decimal. You can assign a decimal value. The other attribute you want to store about decisioning. Then to facilitate decisioning, we have a decimal value. You want to store country ISO codes like for India, IN, Australia, AU, Japan, JP. You have local field at the last where you can store an ISO code of a country. To store a numeric value like age of a customer, you have a number data type. And to store the phone of a customer, you have a phone data type. Phone is not a number. You have to understand how Marketing Cloud architecture is. Number is a separate, phone is a separate. Because phone Marketing Cloud will use to send SMS push notifications. And if you make phone as a number data type, Marketing Cloud can't predict that the data within the phone attribute is actually a phone number or not. For Marketing Cloud to predict, you have to use the appropriate data type, that is phone. The same case with email address. You want to store email address of a subscriber, you have email address data type. email address is a default field in list, and you cannot create any other email address, data type, or attribute in the profile management. For all the custom attributes, you only have 3 data types. But here you can create as many email addresses, and you can assign email address data type. Selecting appropriate data type is required for system to understand. If you keep email address in a text field, system can't differentiate between first name and email address because both are text. For system to send emails, it would be looking data present in email address attribute, which has a data type email address. So working with attributes are important, and defining right data type is also important. You can also make a field primary key. Once you make a field primary key, that means it would avoid duplication of records. Subscriber key field in a list is by default a primary key, but you do not get any default primary key into a data extensions because you can create data extension from scratch. So if you feel that some attribute within the data extension is unique to a subscriber, or a subscriber key, if you feel it is unique to every subscriber, you can go and define a primary key value there within that data extension. Data extension also have a nullable field. If you do not have any of this checkbox checked as nullable, then it is required to have data in every attributes. It is required to have data in every attributes if you do not check it nullable. Suppose for some person you do not have bill amount, but you still want to upload his first name, date, decision, count, country, age, all these data. If you do not have a bill amount for him, you can make bill nullable. And you can still import the data of first name, date, decision, code, age, skipping bill value. But if you fail to make bill nullable, that means you must have to upload bill value as well, along with other data you have. If you fail to upload one single value from any of such attributes, system won't allow to import that data at all. Also, we have a default value here. If you do not provide anything about the first name, suppose while you go and upload a data, then if you set a default value Harshit, then if nothing, no value is provided for first name while you upload the data, Harshit would be the default name for the first name attribute. So this is how you create a data extension. Once you have defined everything, you can click on create and a data extension would be created. Once it is created with all these data attributes and data types, you can go and upload the data within data extension. We will not create this data extension. We are going to start a project now. It is important for you to understand what project we are going to start, because the project will go along throughout our marketing cloud journey from today to last class. So we are going to build a B36 invoice transaction project. As I told, marketing cloud is used for marketing, but it has superpowers handling transactions as well. So marketing cloud is not only used for marketing, but to facilitate transactions. What are transactions? We discussed. When there is an action, there is a response. Immediate response. You click on forgot password, you get one-time passcode in email within 2 or 3 seconds. That is a transaction. Transaction always do not involve money. You can go and withdraw money from ATM. You made a transaction, you will get SMS about updated balance. But you can also click on forgot password and you get an OTP. That is also a transaction. You sign up and you get a sign up confirmation email. That is also a transaction because the immediate action is triggered. Sending marketing communications on New Year, Valentine's Day is not a transaction. Customer has not asked you to send any promotional communication. You want to promote your products and services, you are sending emails manually to them. That is not a transaction. Transaction always involves a user action. So the invoice transaction project which we are going to build will have multiple components. The first component is related to data. Because whenever we want to achieve something, we have to understand how to model the data in Marketing Cloud. So what kind of data you will have on which you have to build this project? In invoice transaction, somebody will transact from our website and an invoice will be triggered. We don't have to manually create invoice and send to him. Millions of transactions can happen in a single minute. Millions of invoice should be triggered. Every invoice will have data about a particular transaction. I cannot get the data about your transaction. If I have made the transaction at the same time as you have made, I am sitting in India, you might be in America. We are both transacting at the same time from a same website. We both will get invoice, but the invoice would be customized for each other. So we have to build a system where once a transaction happens on our website, the invoice is triggered from Marketing Cloud and invoice contains relevant customer transaction information. What kind of information? You have to mention in that invoice the customer profile. You always get your first name, last name, email address on your transaction or on your invoice. Without your name, there cannot be invoice generated. So customer profile means your first name, last name, email address, phone number maybe. Okay. The other data you should have in a transaction invoice is the transaction data itself. That means what is the product you have purchased, what is the bill amount generated, what is the quantity of the product. That is called as transaction data. When the transaction was made, date of that transaction, that also you mention on the invoice. That is a transaction data we have to also create within that invoice which we are going to send. And the third type of data you may require on your invoice is the product specification. You have purchased a product. What is the brand of that product? It is a product specification. You have purchased a product. What is the color of the product? That is a product specification. You have purchased a product. What is the size of the product? L, XL, M, big, small. That is a product specification. You have purchased a product. You get product images as well on your invoice. That is a product specification. So color of the product, size of the product, brand of the product, image of the product comes under product specification. So these three are the basic details about subscriber, transaction, and product we have to create within that invoice. The other part of, once you have created the data, then the other part would be how to send that data to a customer. The other part of project would be how to send that data to a customer. But before that, what you will send? You have to send transaction invoice in a form of, the other part of project would be you have to send transaction invoice in a form of email, SMS. Okay. The same thing you have defined in your data model, you have to create in a form of invoice, which can be either delivered via email, SMS, or push notification. So the other part of the project would be the build phase. The first part of the project is data phase, which we are going to look now. After we have data, the other part of project would be the build phase. And if you have the data, you have the build also completed in the form of email, SMS, push notification. The final thing, we have to send the transaction data. How you will send? Real time within 2 seconds. So how to send communications in a form of email, SMS, push notifications? We will see how to send them real time to a customer. So these are the 3 parts of our project, which will cover entire marketing cloud. It covers data model. It covers email studio, mobile studio, which contains SMS push notifications. It contains sends, that means automations and journeys. Everything would be covered within this project. We have to build it step by step throughout our marketing cloud journey. We have already reached to the first step. That is where we have to create the data. So now, what should be in our data? The data should contain customer profile. What are the attributes in the customer profile? You can think a customer is a subscriber. He should have subscriber key. He should have first name, last name, age, gender. You have to send invoice. You have to ship a product as well. You should be asking state, city, address, country of that customer. Let's write country. You should always have email address to deliver customer invoice emails. You should always have phone number to deliver customer invoices via SMS or mobile devices. So subscriber key, first name, last name, age, gender, country, email address, and phone number. All these are the basic, attributes which I feel we should have in a customer profile data. The other details about transaction, what all things we can store. We can store, again, who has made a transaction, subscriber key, how to uniquely identify a subscriber in Marketing Cloud. We have subscriber key. So who has made a transaction, his details, subscriber key, what he has purchased, what is the quantity, what is the bill he acquired, what is the date of the transaction. We want to have all these details into transaction data. And what about product specification? What product he has purchased? What is the color of that product? Size of the product? Brand of the product? Image of the product? All these can come in the product specification. So we understood the client requirement, that is, the client wants to build an invoice transaction project. We have divided the entire project into 3 different parts. Slowly, we have to build it within Marketing Cloud. We know brief about data model, and we know that it is the first thing whenever we have to start the project. So we have defined how the data about a customer will look inside the Marketing Cloud high level. Once we have defined this, we understand that these type of attributes are not at all possible in list. You can have these profile data into a list, but from where you will get the transaction data, from where you will store the product specification. We have to create a distributed data model where it will contain tables. Each table is created to store a specific information only, so that we have a data clarity in the system. We cannot create a single table and include all these values there. It won't be a very fruitful approach, a good approach. There would not be any data clarity. If you have an opportunity to expand your system in future, you would get it difficult. You will get difficulty. So we understood that here list-based data model cannot be created because we cannot create 3 different lists to create 3 different types of data profiles. So definitely we have to go with data extensions. So now let's quickly create 3 data extensions which will help us proceed in our project. The first data extension is customer profile. In order to create a data extension, we will come back to Marketing Cloud and we'll click on create option, standard data extension. Here we will write B36 customer profile. We'll click on next, and then we can start defining the attributes. What is the first attribute? Subscriber key. Data type should be text. Length, primary key should be there. We should not repeat a subscriber. It would avoid duplication of records if you make any field as primary key. Then first name of a customer, last name of the customer, email address of the customer. Again, email address will have email address data type. Phone number of the customer, it will have phone data type. Then gender of the customer, male, female, text. Age of the customer, age is always a number. Country of a customer, you have to mention where you are going to ship a product to a customer. His country should be stored. So country is a local field. So these are few attributes which we think are important to store basic subscriber profile. So we have created them in a data extension, defined appropriate data types, provided primary key, and click on create option. Once we click on create option, we have B36 customer profile data created. If you open this data extension, you will see that whatever attributes you have defined are listed here. You have to click on records to see what all records are available for each attribute. Currently, we haven't uploaded any record. To upload a record, we have import option. We will do import at the end once we create all the data extensions. So see, first data extension is our B36 customer profile. The other data extension we have to create for our project is B36 transactions, where we will store transaction of a customer. What all things we have defined in transactions? First, we have to know who has made a transaction. So subscriber has made a transaction. We have subscriber key. You can define it as a primary key. If you do not want, then it's all okay. Subscriber key, then product he has purchased, bill amount generated. Bill would always be a decimal, as we discussed. Once you select decimal, you have to select left and right of the decimal. Decimal on the left hand side would support up to 18 numbers. Decimal on right side, I want to support up to 2 numbers, like 78.22. If you define 3, then you have 78.222. So you have a control how much length you have to define for a decimal field. So subscriber key, who has purchased the product, whose product, which product, what is the bill of that product, quantity of the product. Quantity can be number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 10, 20, 30, and date of the transaction. Date of the transaction, what you can do, you can select a date value. Whenever a transaction happens, the data would come to this data extension, guys. Whenever the transaction happens, the data would come to data extension. What you can do, you can set a default value for this date. What you can do, you can set a default value for this date. You can make it nullable if you want to set a default value, which means the data which is coming to your data extension will not contain date value. But whenever that data comes, you have to select current date. If tomorrow data comes, the transaction date would be tomorrow's. If day after tomorrow data comes, the transaction date would be day after tomorrow. It is date and time. It will capture both date of the transaction plus exact time of the transaction. So whenever you are receiving a data in Marketing Cloud data extension, you have defined a date field as current date. The moment data enters to this data extension, it would capture exact date and time, which you can also consider as the time of transaction. You don't need to get that data from other system like website. You can have it predefined here because the transaction would come in real time. You cannot send communication to a customer after 2 days of transaction that please see your invoice. You have to send within 2 seconds. So it is pretty understood that the data which will be flowing from website to Marketing Cloud would be in real time because you are working on invoice transaction project. So the exact time would be captured. No need to get that date and time value from the website. You can have it set as a default value. So you can make it nullable. It means the data would not come from any other source, and you have made it default that the data would not come, but you have to assign a default date and time whenever the data enters. So subscriber key, product, bill, quantity, and date are the few attributes which I see to be defined into a B36 transactions data extension. The other data extension which we can think of is the product specification data extension, because on your invoice you have to send product images. On your invoice, or you can say products only to keep the name short, on your invoice you have to send color of the product, size of the product, image of the product, brand of the product. So the first thing you have to define in this data extension is product name. Then the second thing you have to define in this data extension is color of the product, or you can say brand of the product. You can say color of the product. You can say size of the product. You can say image of the product. Now, how you will store image? There is no, supported data type to upload an image. So image, we would be storing URLs. You have hosted image somewhere. It will have a URL like this. If you go to images, there are a lot of images. You want to have image URL of this apple. It is hosted somewhere. You can get it just by right clicking, open image in new tab, and you see this is the URL of that image. So we have to store URL of the image instead of uploading any image into a data extension. We will see how to play with that URL while building emails, push notifications. So now here you have to store image URL. Here you see length. That means predefined length of any field or text field is 50. But image might have bigger length than 50. It might contain more than 50 characters. So you can do is, you are going to store URL of the image. You can make it up to 4,000 characters. Another interview question. What is the maximum character limit a data extension supports? It supports up to 4,000 characters. So we have made it 4,000 for image and click on create button. Once we click on create button, we have 3 data extensions created: customer profile, products and customer transactions. Now, one by one, we will try to import data into this Marketing Cloud data extension. Importing a data is very easy. We will open Excel file the way we did with list, the same way we have to do with data extensions. So in list, we have, in data extension, we have below attributes, subscriber key, first name, we have then last name, we have email address, we have phone number, we have age, gender, and country. What we can do, B36 DE sub. We have to give unique values. You can define any random values. For lists, I have created different subscriber keys. For data extensions, I am creating different subscriber keys. B36 data extension sub key 01. This is an alphanumeric unique value which I have given to subscriber. For first name, I have written F01. For last name, L01. For email address, I can use my own email address. For phone number, I can use my own phone number. For age, I can use age. And so this is the basic data which we have created. To make it bulk random data, we can work on expansion like this. Subscriber keys are orchestrated, first name, last name. No need to change phone number. If you want, you can change. Some values of male and female I can change here to make our data more diverse. And some countries we can change. France, Australia, JP, Canada, UK, China. So this kind of sample data we have created. We will click on file. We will click on save as, select the path where you want to save, B36, and save it as a .csv file. Once we save it as a .csv file, we can close it. We can click on import into a data extension. Once we click on import, we can click on browse option, select the file. Okay, yeah. Thanks. Once we have selected this file, we'll click on next option. Once we click on next option, the same thing, mapping will come. Left hand side are your columns of file, right hand side the columns of data extension. If both names match, then it would be auto mapped. In case if it doesn't map, click on map manually and you can map it manually as well. So as it is auto mapped, we click on next option and click on import. Once we have done that import, you can go back and see 10 records are imported into this data extension, which are containing customer profile records. Now, as you have uploaded customer profile records, in other data extension, we have customer transactions as well. What we will do, we will create those data into the same, the same file only. Subscriber keys we have already created. Product, bill, quantity, and date. 4 more attributes we want. Subscriber key already exists. So here you can write product, bill quantity and date is a current date default value, so no need to define date here. Suppose somebody purchased a bag, somebody purchased a laptop, somebody purchased a mobile, somebody purchased shoes, somebody purchased jeans, somebody purchased charger, somebody purchased bike, somebody purchased car. Bike, car are not purchased online, but for reference only. Somebody purchased t-shirt and somebody purchased, suppose, desktop. Bill, you can give it random. Suppose $78.02, very expensive bag. $26. Mobile just in $36. Shoes in $12. Jeans, suppose you are going premium, Levi's jeans. Charger, you bought local. Bike, you took it. Car, you got in $1,000 only. T-shirt, $12.77. Desktop, 23.7. So quantity also you can, have it random values. All these data I am trying to manually upload, guys, but you have to understand we are working on invoice transaction, data would come real time. But to understand and define that process, we have to understand a lot in Marketing Cloud. So for now, we will see how to upload the data manually. So once we have defined this, we can close this. We can go to the other data extension. We can click on import option, click on browse. We can go to the file. We can click on next option. Some of the things are matched. Whatever in the file and data extensions are auto matched. Date, we have made it nullable because we won't be passing it from file. It would have a default value. So no need to match date. Now go back and see the data is imported or not. The data is not imported. Not here. Into transactions. Let's see if data is imported or not. It is still processing. We'll try to refresh it. And you see 10 records for transactions are also imported. So we got the transaction details as well. Now you see default date values are auto updated. We never pass this date value from the file. We made it default as current date. Tomorrow you go and upload any record, it will reflect tomorrow's date and time. It is a date and time data type. Now the last thing we have to upload is product specification. What is the product name, bill amount, everything. Color, brand, image, all these things we have to upload. So let's again open the file. We already have product names. We already have products purchased. What we have to make sure is brand, size, color, and image. Suppose bag you have purchased very expensive Zara, laptop HP, mobile suppose Apple, shoes any shoes like Nike, jeans Levi's jeans, charger Samsung suppose, bike you have purchased any bike, suppose Honda bike, car you went for very expensive car. T-shirt, suppose Lee brand T-shirt you have purchased. Desktop, suppose Lenovo brand you have purchased. Size, you can define it random. XXL iPhone also you purchased. L type of shoes. M T-shirt. Charger is L. Randomly I am giving. Big bike you have purchased. Color, anything. Okay, now for images, we will have to take the image URL. It will waste a lot of time, but what we will do, we will try to have some images. For suppose for Zara bag, we will go and have Zara bag images. We will click on images. Once we click on images, open image in new tab. You can find it from here. Copy this URL and paste it here. We will do it random. For shoes, we have Nike shoes of yellow color. So we will try to have Nike shoes of yellow color.
And next year, because a lot of things.
So we copied this, we uploaded it here. Similarly, suppose desktop you have purchased of yellow color Lenovo desktop. So you have a Lenovo desktop of yellow color. So 3 images only I am keeping it. And then I am going to save. So guys, I have skipped data for few of the, intentionally I have skipped data for few of the products or many of the products. So if I am not supplying the data, what measure I should take? The measure I should take is image field should be non-nullable, should be nullable. Nullable means it accepts blank values. If you are going to supply 100% of data, then you make it non-nullable. But if you are seeing that in your stock, few images are not available, then you make it non-nullable. You make it nullable, sorry, and save it. So intentionally, we have skipped a few of the images to understand this. Once we have saved this, we will go and import the data. So we will click on import option, click on browse again. Select the file, click on next option. You have brand, size, color, images. Click on next. Product name is not mapped. Why? We might have a different name in the file. So we click on map manually here. And we see what is the field in our file containing product. So product we have mapped with product name. Click on next and import. And you see that data in the data extension would be imported in some time. The status is processing. And you would see that 9 products are imported. What happened to one product? One product is skipped because this is more than 4,000 characters. We have to make sure that the maximum limit is utilized. So for Nike shoes, we will try to have any other image. You should not exceed the limit of 4,000 characters. That is the hard limit in Marketing Cloud for any attribute value. This is looking small. What we will do, we will keep it in save. Once we save it, we will overwrite all the records. Click on import option, click on browse, select the file. Open it. Here you have import type. Earlier we were using add and update. We have to click on overwrite. It will delete previous records and import all the new records. The next phase would be for mapping. Product name is not mapped. We'll click on map manually. Then we have product name. Click on next option, click on import. Once we have clicked on import, we'll see that it is processing. Now you see 10 records are uploaded, in which 3 image URLs we have uploaded for laptop, for shoes, and for bag.